Revival. I'm Naomi Suzanne from Naomi's Home Health. I'm a holistic health coach who specializes in thyroid and autoimmune healing using natural solutions. So this week we are going in episode 10, we are going to be discussing the difference between mental and emotional health. Now, people talk a lot about their mental health, but they don't really talk about their emotional health because I don't think they really understand the difference between the two. They actually go hand in hand. Your mental health and your emotional health can affect each other and they can become out of balance. If one's out of balance, often the other one is as well. So, understanding the difference is really important because when we are healing, when we get thyroid or autoimmune disease, one of the things that triggers your thyroid or autoimmune disease is stress, and stress affects your mental and emotional health. So, when you are healing, it's really important to understand mental and emotional health. Any sort of health, whether you're healing from a thyroid or autoimmune disease, you really should understand mental and emotional health because it's the one thing that is not discussed very much in society, in health circles. If you go to a doctor and you have a physical health condition, it's very rare that they will ask you about your stress levels in your home, your environment, your past traumas, all of those things. And they are a really big part of why you are sick because your mental and your emotional health affects your physical health. So, learning about the difference between the two and some strategies to help you cope with the two when they're out of balance are really, really important to your overall well-being. So, your mental health describes your overall psychological well-being. It's based on how we think, how we feel, and act when faced with any challenges or obstacles in life. So it's essential, like I said, to focus on the mental health while you're going through the healing process. So, how your mind processes and understands information and experiences, psychologically, social, and emotionally well-being. Emotional health, on the other hand, is your ability to manage and express these emotions that arise from what you have learned and experiences. So, from these experiences, how you feel and the emotions that arise, that is your emotional health. It's having an awareness of your emotions and the ability to manage and express those feelings in an appropriate manner. So, when you're out of balance, your emotions aren't expressed in an appropriate manner. You don't know what you're feeling. Sometimes we have learned to shut down our emotions. We have learned to shut them off and we've learned to not feel. So that comes from a lifetime of stress or trauma. So the short version is the differences of mental and emotional health is processing information versus expressing the emotion that arises from that information. So mental health is not only about how well you understand and process your experiences, it's also your ability to decision make effectively and maintain a focused attention span. Because when your mental health isn't working effectively, it affects your brain, it affects your focus, it affects your concentration, it affects everything. So, this is why people with mental health problems, their brain isn't functioning properly. They make rash decisions. They can't focus on a task. They might have sort of like some ADHD tendencies. So it's really important to balance that mental health. Mental health, how you think, feel, act when faced with challenges is a cognitive issue. So, how we think and react, and it's behavioral. It's how we behave when we are faced with these challenges. Emotional health is how you identify and manage the emotions associated with the challenges and how you identify the feelings and emotions of those around you. So, it's really important to understand the emotions of people around you because if someone's sad, you can support them. If you're happy, if they're happy, you can join in that happiness with them. So if you're unable to identify your own emotions, it can be so difficult to identify other people's emotions. So if you have shut down your emotions through life, you've learned to cut yourself off, a lot of the time you can't see or empathize with other people when they're struggling with their emotions. And sometimes you just don't have that capacity to be there for somebody else when they're struggling emotionally because you're dealing with so much yourself. You can't deal with your own emotions. How are you going to help anybody else in the same situation. So sometimes in the case of like an empath is somebody who takes on other people's emotions. A lot of the time, we over identify other people's emotions and we completely ignore our own. Why do we do that? Because it's easier to help other people than it is to face our own problems and our own emotions. So this is a total imbalance. When you overcompensate your emotional health by helping other people and looking at how other people's emotions are affecting them, you can often be forgetting your own emotional imbalance because you don't want to face it. It's a lot easier to look at other people's shit than it is to look at your own, basically. So, emotional health involves ways of developing the ability to express and manage emotions in healthy ways, like how we react to others and situations, how we handle stress, how we take responsibility for our own feelings, and having a good understanding of your self worth, self love, self care, regulating your emotions, and maintaining good relationships. If your emotional health is struggling, it's really hard to maintain a good relationship with somebody else. Sometimes, when you are struggling emotionally, it's really important to get support from somebody who understands emotional health, who understands, like, if you've got a friend who's really good being in touch with their emotions, hang out with that person because a lot of the time these people will trigger you because you're thinking, why is that person so emotional? Why do they cry? Why do they get sad? Why are they laughing all the time? It's because they're in touch with their emotions a lot more than you are. And it's triggering you because emotions trigger you. It's not the person triggering you, it's the emotional response that's triggering you. So, hanging out with somebody who is in touch with their emotions and who can empathize with you when you're having your emotional imbalance, often you're going to learn how to regulate your emotions a lot better by being around people who can do that. You have to start to understand how to regulate your own emotions. And it's really, really important because when we push emotions down, when we suppress emotions, it's like a volcano. You've got all that shit bubbling under the surface. It's just bubbling away. You can't just push things down, and expect that they're just going to disintegrate and vanish into thin air and go away. They're going to stay stuck in your body and they're just going to bubble away under the surface until a massive explosion comes and boom, you have a breakdown. So it's really important to start to learn how to manage your emotional health so you don't get that massive explosion. So, as you can see, mental health and emotional health go hand in hand. There are psychological differences. Mental health is your overall mental well being, it's including rational thinking, good decision making, managing difficult situations. That's your mental health. It's all about situations and experiences and information. It's it's that physical way of dealing with your mentally. Emotional health is managing the moods and the feelings associated with that. Your stress, anger, sadness, joy, happiness, anything that, when you're scared, when you're fear, all of those emotions, they are important to acknowledge and tap into. And fear is the biggest emotion that we have because we fear tapping into our emotions. And often when we don't express emotions effectively, or we don't think about our emotions, or we don't look at how we feel or understand how we feel, the biggest emotion that we have, and it's usually a reactive emotion, is anger. Anger is a learned emotion. So feeling anger predominantly more than happiness is you've suppressed a lot of your emotions. So it's time to start to get that volcano, you know, stop that volcano from boiling over, basically. So everybody reacts differently to trauma and stress, and this is due to environmental factors in your life. So how you were raised, your past experiences in life. Were you bullied at school? How others have treated you, what you saw and experienced through your lifetime, from the time you were born to right now. Those mental health issues impact your emotional health. those traumas and stresses and how you respond to it impact your emotional health. Because if you've had a lot of stress and trauma in your life, and you can completely change how you react and how you manage your emotions, you start to live in fight or flight mode. Now, fight or flight mode is like a survival mode. Your body goes into shutdown and it starts to try and just merely survive. So fight or flight, fight is when you're very reactive and you're on high alert. It's when you run. Sorry, not when you run, that's flight. Flight is when you run and run from a situation, run from feelings, run away from what's happening in the present moment. So fight or flight is your sympathetic nervous system, and it's activated by a sudden release of hormones when faced with danger or stress. So it's your sympathetic nervous system being activated, switched on pretty quickly. It happens in an instant. So if you feel under threat, under attack, under stress, this sympathetic nervous system is triggered straight away. So it prepares your body to react to the danger, the present danger. These hormones cause the sympathetic nervous system to stimulate the pituitary gland and the adrenal glands. You hear me talk about the adrenal glands all the time. This is where we're going here. This is how it's affecting your mental and emotional health. This triggers the release of adrenaline, noradrenaline, and cortisol. This chain reaction increases your heart rate, your blood pressure, and your breathing, and it has a physical reaction in your body. So, this is where your mental and emotional health is having this physical reaction in your body. Once danger or the threat is gone, your parasympathetic nervous system, it will bring you back into calm. It'll take over and try to bring your heart rate down and bring you back to a calm state. But if you have a constant stress in your life and your body is constantly flooded with these hormones, it can affect your mental and emotional health as well as the physical, because these hormones are constantly flooding through your body because your sympathetic nervous system is constantly activated and you are triggered all the time. You're in this fight or flight mode all the time, and these hormones are constantly working. So, when your body is working hard to produce hormones and your sympathetic nervous system is focused on this stress mode, on this situation, on this trauma, on whatever it is, your body is constantly producing these hormones, and that takes energy. So, this is why people with mental health problems lack a lot of energy, because your body is constantly producing these hormones to keep you in survival mode, to stop you from crashing and burning, basically. So, this is where we get the autoimmune disease and the thyroid issue and the gut health problems and the mental health problems and the emotional health and your brain fog and your memory's not working. Your body is flooded with these hormones, and it's activated in this survival mode where it's just like, I don't know what else to do other than just survive right now. You can't think, you can't feel, you can't do the things that that's a natural response in your body, because your body is focused on the threat, on the danger. So if you've grown up with certain traumas or stress in your life, and then through your adulthood have had more added to it, because a lot of the time when we have childhood trauma or stress, because we are in fight or flight mode, because we're in survival mode, because we can't regulate our emotions, because our mental health isn't at its peak, we choose the wrong situations in life. We choose the wrong partners. We choose the wrong jobs. We just get stuck in this cycle of not choosing well for us, not choosing the right things, not being able to think for ourselves, not being able to function properly, getting sick all the time. Our body is constantly, working hard. So it's like a chain reaction of situations in your life, and it's constantly affecting your mental and emotional health. It's affecting how you react to situations, how you react to other people, how your emotions then become regulated through of these situations. You might start to hang out with people who have the same sort of issues as you. If you're hanging out with 5 people who are negative, angry, always pissed off, you're going to be the sixth pissed off person. If you're hanging out and choosing happy people, five happy, positive, energetic people, you're going to be the sixth happy, positive, energetic person. That's the way it is. You take on other people's stuff and you're choosing your own situation. So, mental and emotional health, if you're out of balance with your mental health, your emotional health is likely to be out of balance as well. So, it's really important to learn the difference between the two and to learn how you can, some strategies, practices, how you can regulate your emotions and how you can, you know, focus on your mental health to recover from these situations that have happened in your life and how you react to people. Because a lot of the time, you see it on social media. Someone will put a comment on under a post and you see people just attack them. That's not normal. We're not supposed to attack each other for very, very little reason. Like, and people don't understand. Like, I can see on social media the people that are very reactive or the people that are very negative when if you don't understand how you react to situations and you think it's normal to bite somebody's head off by having an opinion or to bite somebody's head off because they don't want to do the same thing as you or whatever it is, or even if somebody is having an opinion and they're being a jerk on social media, why do you need to get involved? That's the thing. What has happened in your environment? What has happened in your emotional health for you to then jump on the bandwagon and, start attacking people? You know what I mean? So it's really important to start to focus on your mental and emotional health. We focus so hard on the physical health, but we will never heal the physical effectively if we don't focus on the mental and emotional health. No point eating the cleanest diet on the planet, not using any toxins and exercising, and then thinking, why can't I lose weight? Why do I have no energy? If you're still in fight or flight, you're going to have no energy. If you're still reacting to people, like if somebody asks you a simple question and you bite their head off, you know this is what it is. It's you're not regulating your emotions and your hormones aren't going to be balanced because you've got this flood of adrenaline and cortisol, noradrenaline running through your body. So how are you going to effectively produce testosterone, estrogen, progesterone, and how are you going to effectively detox all of those through an overburdened liver? So it sounds like a lot, but I just wanted you to understand the difference between the two because in the next episode, episode 11, we're going to discuss mental health strategies, practices. And we're going to dive into mental health a little bit more. We're going to, see where it's different because I know for me, when I was healing, I didn't go anywhere near the mental and emotional health for a long time. It was all the physical for me. And I could not understand why I was doing all the right things and I wasn't I wasn't healing. I was healing, but I wasn't where I wanted to go. And for me, I was taught to not have emotions growing up. I was taught to not feel things. And I used to push things down in situations. And now I've learned to feel things. I've learned to be sad and allow that emotion because it's okay. And I'm the happiest I have ever been in my whole life because I know exactly how to regulate my emotions, and so much joy comes into your life when you do that. It sounds ridiculous maybe to some people, but for me, I've never felt such happiness in my life. And it's because I now have boundaries with people. I know how to react better to people. I know how to talk better to people when a situation has arisen and it's hurt me or I've resented something or whatever. I know how to speak a lot better to somebody than to react with anger or biting someone's head off or anything like that, and I get a better response from people by talking to them like a normal human being. So this is what I want you to learn and understand is how people don't realize how they react to people, and they think it's a normal response because that's how they've always done it. So it's becoming aware. It's you becoming aware of yourself. Don't worry about what other people are doing. It doesn't matter. Like if somebody else has hurt you, pissed you off, done something in your life, the only person that is going to be affected by the emotion of that situation is you. So if you're angry with that person, you can't forgive them, you hold resentment, all of those things, they don't give a shit. That's why they hurt you, because they don't care about you. The thing is, you need to care about yourself more and, detach from those emotions and become, you know, the anger is not going to help you recover. It's not going to change the situation. What that person did to you won't ever change, but how you feel about it can. And if you're angry and live in, and this person, what they did to you is holding you back in life and it's suppressing your happiness, the only person that's affecting is you, not them. They are not affected by your misery at all. You are. You're the only person. And the people that are around you, your parents, your children, your friends, whoever you hang out with, they're affected by what that person did to you because of your emotional response. So, I don't hold anger or anything towards my ex-husband or my parents or anything like that. I dealt with it. What happened has happened and it's in the past. I've dealt with it. The ex-husband is no longer my husband for that reason. But I don't hang on to that anger because it doesn't affect him. It affects me. It affects my life. So we have children that we need to, work with to raise together, not in the same household, but we still have to raise them together. And there's no point arguing and carrying on about anything and holding resentment and fucking up our own children because I have anger to what he did. He chose that. That was his problem. And that's the way it is. But we get along because I choose to, and he chooses to, because we've worked through a lot of our stuff and we don't want to hang on to it and affect other people around us. So it's not because we still love each other or anything like that. It's because we choose to get along for our children's sake and we don't want to have them have mental or emotional health issues because of what we did in our life. So we choose to show them how to be mature, how to deal with our emotions, how to deal with our mental health, and how to get along as responsible adults. That is what we choose. Not everybody chooses that path, but it would have affected everybody around us if we just had this hatred towards each other. So these situations, if I hung on to that anger, I'd be still sick. So, what happened and it hurt a lot, but I dealt with it and it doesn't hurt anymore at all. And I do not want it to affect any future happiness of mine, my present happiness, any future happiness or anything like that. So I've had to release it. And there are many ways you can do that. I'm going to teach you episode 11, mental health strategies and practices. Make sure you follow this podcast, share it with somebody that you love, because it's really important, all these topics, to understand, for overall health. It's not just thyroid or autoimmune disease. This is all about natural health and living your best life energetically, positively, all of those things, to live fulfillment. Who doesn't want that? So make sure you follow this podcast and share it with the people that you love.